Good evening, class. My name is Orlandis Abrams, and I chose to do my project on the Michael Vick negotiation with the Philadelphia Eagles for the year 2009 through 2010. Michael Vick is a high-profile NFL quarterback who was released from prison on animal cruelty charges. If you can remember him, he was the star quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons from 2001 to late 2007. He was a phenomenal athlete. Michael Vick, as a professional athlete, when in terms of conflict and negotiation with the Philadelphia Eagles, he's a he brings a lot of money off ticket sales and merchandising, and he's very popular among the African American community, being one of the few black African American quarterbacks that are in the NFL. Also, Michael Vick has proven that he can win in the NFL, and furthermore, during that particular time in Mike's life, Mike needed a job to prove that he could even still come back and play in the NFL. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the most solid, grounded organizations in the NFL. Philadelphia has had the same quarterback, which was Donovan McNabb at the time, who led them to the Super Bowl and 4 NFC championship games, but he was never really able to get them over the hump. And plus, heading around about that same time, Donovan McNabb's contract was coming up, and it was going to be a little too steep for the Philadelphia Eagles to pay that type of money for a quarterback that was looking to be on his decline. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles have a history of dealing with a lot of high-profile players, so a polarizing figure like Michael Vick wouldn't be too bad to bring in. And plus, they were so stable that they was one of the few organizations who could actually deal with the backlash of bringing on a player of Mike's caliber. In the forms of the positions and interests of both parties, Michael Vick's main thing he wanted to do was prove that he can still play in the NFL. His finances was in ruins. He owed numerous creditors. He lost all his major endorsements he had with Nike, clothing lines, everything. He lost a lot fighting that court case and going to jail, so he needed the money, another factor that played a key thing into it. And another thing, based on Mike's enrollment, Mike needed a stable organization to rejuvenate his career. It wouldn't have benefited Mike, in my personal opinion, if he went to a big city like New York or LA, somewhere where there was a lot of high-profile other acts. He needed to go somewhere that was more stable, like the Philadelphia Eagles. In Philadelphia's position and their interest that was mainly involved in the contract negotiations, they were eventually going to start looking for their change in quarterback positions in the near future, based on the fact the year prior they had just drafted quarterback Kelvin Cobb to start backing up Donovan McNabb because they seen the end coming for Donovan McNabb. The Eagles, they got a stable organization that could handle Vick's high-profile status. They could pretty much deal with the backlash that was coming. And another key point is they knew they could get a high-caliber Pro Bowl quarterback who has proven that he could win in the NFL at a dirt cheap price, and to get a high-profile quarterback, Pro Bowl quarterback, not to mention that, at such a good price that there was going to eventually end up getting Mike for, was a bargain that the Eagles couldn't let pass by. Many of the concepts that we learned in this class, that I personally learned in this class, was displayed in this particular negotiation. The contract that Mike pretty much got, according to Alvin Greer, was pretty much Mike got a prove-it contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. Pretty much show us what you could do and we'll pay you what you're worth. We're not going to give you a bunch of upfront money based on the fact that you're this big-time quarterback. We're going to start you from the bottom and you work your way up. And the way the contract was settled and set in with the language that if Mike couldn't do good, it really wouldn't affect the Eagles too much. They wouldn't take such a financial hit. Both parties mutually benefit from the signing of Michael Vick based on the fact that they got a good Pro Bowl quarterback for a dirt cheap price, and Michael Vick got a chance to restart his career because a lot of teams didn't even want to give him the time of day. What went well in negotiations? It was more of a mutual benefit that what made it go so well for both parties, based on the fact that Mike knew that he had a lot of baggage hanging on him based on the dogfighting situations, financial situations, and he knew the opportunity that the Eagles even offered him was an opportunity to restart his career, basically. In contrast, the Eagles, they handled the contract. They did their research. They understood the backlash that was going to be coming. They aligned Michael Vick with the right people, the right team to help him get his career and his life back on order. And they paid him dirt cheap price to get him. So, hey, it went well in their favor. On the other hand, what went wrong in the negotiation, it wasn't a clear cut what just stuck out, what was wrong in the negotiation, because it was pretty much a fair deal in my opinion. The only thing, the Eagles did take a hit from a lot of people who did not agree with the Eagles signing quarterback Michael Vick based on his past dealings with the dogfighting situation, his prison term, and they don't feel as though it fit well with the culture of Philadelphia. According to Sue Cosby of the Pennsylvania Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, she's pretty much stated that to root for someone who participated in hanging, drowning, the electrocution, and shooting of dogs would be impossible for many people to buy into in Philadelphia. And that was true, because the Eagles did lose some fans. They didn't lose that many sponsors, but they somewhat felt the backlash from the community. But just like all things, all wounds heal with time. The final agreement with Michael Vick and the Eagles, according to ESPN's Chris Mortensen, in 2009, the first year of the Michael Vick deal was $1.6 million, with the second year option worth $5.2 million, which would escalate it up to $5.2 million with incentives and bonuses depending on how Vick performed and played when he was given a chance to play. In terms of a long-term relationship, the Eagles and Michael Vick has built a very good long-term relationship, based on the fact that Vick came in, had to end up starting when their starting quarterback, after they got rid of Donovan McNabb in 2010, went down. Kevin Kolb really went down the first half of the 2010 season. Vick came in, he lit the scoreboards up, and that season was just phenomenal for him. And according to Andrew Brand of the Huffington Post, they agreed on a 6-year, $100 million contract, which put Michael Vick pretty much where he was before the dogfight allegations, and it helped rejuvenate his career and put him back on top like he is today. Thank you. This is my works cited page. Thank you for listening.